Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen. I make the same mistake every single time. I leave NXT till the end of the week because I feel like, oh, I can't be asked to watch it. And every time I watch it, it's a banger. It's one of the best brands. I mean, they're all great. All the brands are great. NXT is fire. And especially this week because it is NXT Homecoming. They went to Full Sail University. You know, we're talking the same arena where Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, so many people from the past. When they were in NXT, that's where they were. Now, the first person to come out appropriately after a fantastic video package of all the years of NXT, we got the old intro, but with new people in it. Appropriately, the first person to come out, one of the founders of NXT, Triple H. Now, obviously, he's moved on to bigger and better things. He's now controlling the whole of the WWE. But it's nice to see that he still comes back to his baby, that being NXT. And out came Shawn Michaels, obviously, famously, his best friend, famously, his tag team partner in wrestling, the one that took NXT from him when he had bigger responsibilities. There's so much poetry and motion in this. And they were both saying they're proud of each other. But then Triple H said, what if I want to come back? Now, first of all, this sounds like Triple H coming back to NXT. This wouldn't be a good thing because he'd probably get overstimulated and he'd probably mess up the main roster and NXT. And he'd probably come and try and change some things in NXT. I don't know if that would be the greatest idea, but I think it was to lead on to the next thing. Shawn Michaels then took it a bit offensively and he said, well, then we'd have a big problem. That's when William Regal came out and the fans were overtaking it because the fans knew what he was going to say, and he said it. War Games. This is interesting because they've not actually, this is all they said War Games, and then they left it. Does this mean main roster versus NXT in War Games? Because I'd like that. Let's not force a feud to happen for War Games. If we get the old Survivor Series, as in like Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, and we get a War Games main event, as well as like a 5 versus 5, but instead of a 5 versus 5 War Games, that would be interesting. But I'm starting to think against that. I'm starting to think if that wasn't just for the gimmick, just for the segment of him saying War Games, maybe we're going to get WWE versus TNA. Why? Because WWE massively disrespected TNA throughout the whole night, and TNA wrestlers, some of them were tweeting and posting bad things about WWE, saying, nah, this is disgusting. And WWE on their television was selling it. They were like, oh, TNA's mad, TNA's mad, TNA's mad. There could be a legit beef, or maybe they're trying to sell the beef, and maybe we'll get TNA versus WWE. And I'll be honest, since the deals with TNA, WWE have been shafting them. We've had Trick Williams win the TNA World title. We've had JC Jane win the TNA Knockouts title, and not a single TNA wrestler has won a WWE title. They had their TNA World Champion at the time, Joe Hendry, come out to WrestleMania and lose to Randy Orton in a matter of minutes. WWE have done their best to embarrass TNA, and WWE television have took complete advantage of them. Meanwhile, AAA, they're doing great shows with. If I was TNA, I'd be pissed. But this is interesting, because if we can get WWE versus TNA, people's dreams could come true. If only this had happened 20 years ago and we'd got so many amazing matches that I know wrestling fans would like. I'm not a TNA fan. I've seen a few TNA things. I'm not an AEW fan. I watched AEW for a short period. I'm not a Ring of Honor fan. I'm not a AAA fan. I'm not a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan. But I'm aware of the other businesses and I'm aware of the stars in them. It could be interesting. Now, following that, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss came out and they let everyone know NXT has always been about the women. This was where the women's revolution started. But they had the 4 horsewomen. Of course, they weren't going to name them because they didn't want to name drop Sasha Banks. But they had the 4 horsewomen. They had Paige, they had Alexa Bliss, they had Carmella, they had Nia Jax, they had so many. They named them all. And this was to kick off the first night. This was to kick off the first night, the first match. This was to kick off the women's tag team title match. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss versus The Culling. And it was a decent match. All these matches were decent. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss retain. It is what it is. You love to see it. Great match. The second match was another tag team match. We had DIY versus Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Can I just say we're bringing old theme tunes back? Charlotte Flair came out to our old theme. Alexa Bliss didn't. Disappointed with that. Because Alexa Bliss's old was amazing. Tommaso Ciampa came out to his old theme tune. Johnny Gargano. They brought back Rebel Heart. Just keep it. You can tell it's 10 times better than DIY's theme. Keep Rebel Heart and keep Tommaso Ciampa's. They're great theme tunes. Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes obviously came out. They put on a banger of a match, which eventually ended in the Miz hitting skull-crushing finale and costing Johnny Gargano the match as he loses to Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And I'm a bit surprised that there wasn't a bit more of a moment between Trick and the Miz kind of getting in each other's face, given that Trick is what was Carmelo Hayes' best friend. Now the Miz is trying to be Carmelo Hayes' mentor. I thought there'd be a bit of tension there. But there was actually tension between Trick and Carmelo in the match. There was a moment of where Carmelo tagged himself in, took over, Trick looked mad about it, they shook hands, and then when Carmelo turned away, Trick looked like he was about to turn on him, but instead he just defended him. Maybe we were planting seeds. Maybe that's a match we can see in the future. Or maybe we'll see it on the main roster. Let me hear you out. Right, we've got the Miz trying to build up Carmelo Hayes on the main roster as a main roster superstar. They're going to go for the tag titles. They're not going to work, but they're going to have heat behind the story of Carmelo Hayes because everyone wants him to go by himself and challenge Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. So eventually he's going to get fed up with the Miz, and he's going to do that. And he's going to come so close. It's going to be the ultimate underdog against the ultimate underdog. And he's not going to get it, but it's going to build the hype. People are behind him to betray the Miz or drop the Miz or win the US title. And eventually, all this storyline with the Miz and chasing the US title, it's going to put Carmelo Hayes on another level, right? Trick Williams, they just announced on a Grayson Waller effect. The Grayson Waller effect, basically, he insulted Ricky Sainz, he insulted Obafemi, but it was a reason to get Trick Williams versus Obafemi next week. Winner takes all, TNA Championship and NXT Championship, and then they'll defend it against Ricky Sainz. To me, this looks like an obvious layup for Obafemi to win the TNA World title. Trick without a title on NXT, not chasing Obafemi because he's already lost. What's he going to do? Time to move him up to the main roster. I said it after Stand and Deliver. That was the time. But they managed to keep him active. Then when he moves up to the main roster, him and Carmelo Hayes are going to have to settle this beef. They're going to have a fantastic feud. And once it's all over, they're going to be best friends again. They're either going to be dominating the mid-card or making names for themselves on different brands after their feud, or they're going to become a fantastic dominant tag team. And I can't wait for either of it. For either role. I'm there for it. But it was cooking on NXT. Let's talk about some backstage segments. We had Sami Zayn there, who was there to give Javon Evans advice, which Josh Briggs tried to go against, and then just ended in a fight between Javon Evans and Josh Briggs. That's fine by me. We had Damian Priest trying to give Tavion Heights some advice, saying he reminds him of himself, just like Sami Zayn reminded Javon Evans of himself. And he got Tavion Heights the North American title match at No Mercy, which finally, I've been saying it since he teamed up with Chelsea Green, Nathan Page at Heatwave. I've been saying it since Heatwave, and since he won the flag match, Tavion Heights needs a shot at that title, and now he's getting it at No Mercy. And we had, let's talk about this actually. Ren Sinclair and Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey said, look, I need to go to Japan for a month. I need to find myself and whatever. And Ren Sinclair stopped caring very quickly because Bobby Roode walked in, and we got 1 second of Glorious. We got the word Glorious, but we didn't get the song, which is sad. But then in popped Joe Hendry. Christian said it's like Joe Hendry, and it was almost like looking in the mirror. We had Bobby Roode and Joe Hendry, like both of their posing gimmicks. And that's when Bobby Roode gave Joe Hendry advice. He said, look, as a former TNA wrestler, I was so happy to see you bring the TNA World title to WrestleMania. And as a former NXT champion and NXT star, you know what to do now. You need to chase the NXT title, which Joe Hendry is officially an NXT roster superstar now. About time. So that was a cool one. We had Montez Ford on his own confront Dog State. That was interesting. I mean, he talked about how fun it is to be in the tag division, and they called him out for not really being a good tag partner, because obviously WWE are trying to plant the seeds of Street Profits breaking up now, and WWE, when they plant the seed, it grows really quick, because all of a sudden, Angelo Dawkins is not with him, and Bianca Belair is in the crowd. They also sold the match for next week between Lainey Reed and Candice LeRae, the final of the Speed Tournament. The winner will face Soruka at No Mercy, and that's another one we had. We had Soruka and Zarya arguing about what happened last week when Soul got accidentally hit with the Soul Snatcher. That's when Shayna Baszler came back. She's not even in the company. And she came back and she said, look, I've been in tag teams. I've been the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion before. You need to fix this. She gave them advice and they listened. I think I've covered all the backstage segments. But they were pretty cool. It was cool to see all these people. Kevin Owens could have came. Where was the Kevin Owens visit? I know he can't compete in the ring, but where was the Kevin Owens visit? It really pissed me off. And then we had, Lexis King tried to get in the ring, tried to call out Miles Bourne. That's when Finn Balor came out with his old theme. Finally, he played the role of a babyface because he stood on the turnbuckle while Miles Bourne creeped his way into the ring, beat up Lexis King. Finn Balor hit a coup de grace, and we got a great, happy moment. So those are all the extra appearances that were just for the fun of it. Man, I just loved seeing everyone, all the old school stuff, all the old school themes. And in between the breaks, we could hear them playing the old NXT intro. It was so fire. Oh my God, it was so good. Anyway, back to the matches. Ethan Page, Tyler Breeze. Surprisingly better match than I thought it would be. Not that I thought it would be bad, but I thought it was going to be over in the first 2 minutes when Ethan Page hit an Eagle's Edge in 2 minutes. I thought, wow, they're really going to bring Tyler Breeze back to squash him. But they didn't. But it was a good match, and Ethan Page did obviously retain. I mean, did you think Tyler Breeze was going to win the North American Championship? No. No, you didn't. If you said you did, you're lying, because you didn't think that. Come on. And finally, the main event. It was supposed to be Stephanie Vaquer, Rhea Ripley, and Tiffany Stratton against Fatal Influence, but for some reason they've pulled Tiffany Stratton and they put Lyra Valkyria in her place. Not mad at it. It's Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria can go, as we know. I just don't know why they pulled Tiffany from it. She's not injured. And if she wasn't going to work for the schedule, why would you put her in it anyway? It just ruins the segment from last week and ruins the build-up, the 1 week build-up that I had for this match. But it is what it is. Who cares? The match was great. Great ending. I mean, people got what they wanted. The moment of Booker T when Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley were hitting the Devil's Kiss, obviously Booker T's made that so much more infamous with the way he reacts to it, the way he was reacting to it, and the fans were going with him. It was special. Keep NXT in Full Sail University, man. We don't need none of this PC stuff or wherever they are now. We don't need it. Keep them in Full Sail University. Please. It's iconic for NXT. It just is. It is, and I loved it. That was a fantastic episode of NXT, and now I'm really intrigued. Well, for next week, I'll tell you what NXT does better than Raw and SmackDown. Building their hype for the card next week. Every week there's some exciting match with either a stipulation or a feud or a title match. I love it. I can't wait for No Mercy. Thank you all so much for watching. I can't wait to figure out what happens with that War Games either. It probably means nothing. We're probably going to get the usual product and probably just do a segment. I don't know. But thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.